Hey guys, welcome back. No, the rain has not let up, but money never sleeps, so the show must go on. Obviously the stream is still quite active behind me, so that is the background noise you're going to hear for the next few days. Hopefully it's not too bad. Today I thought we'd talk about savings by age group, as well as net worth by age group. Most of us don't pay attention to this. I certainly didn't until a couple of years ago. And I think we're missing out, because if you don't have something to measure yourself to, obviously I'm not saying measure yourself to other people's net worth, just yourself, but then a yardstick for the average and the median of where the people are in your age group, then you may be falling behind. And not that, you know, your lifestyle can't adapt or you can't live with a bit more. I just think some people unwittingly are going to price themselves out or be priced out later in life if they didn't take caution to match what the peer group was doing. So here's savings to start with. So under 35. Now this one obviously is held down quite a bit because what 18-year-old has savings, right? But the average was $49,130, which is not bad. I assume what makes up that number is mostly the people in their early 30s and late 20s. The median, however, is $18,880. Not bad, still. A bit low. 35 to 44, however, is where you get the biggest jump, I think. That in the next group, because people start buying houses, they start acquiring assets. And so you have, for 35 to 44, $141,520 as the average. Now I think this one slides upwards or is pulled upwards for people who have a high net worth, or family or whatever. So they're dragging the entire group up quite a bit because the median is only $45,000 flat. Next up, 45 to 54 is $313.20 for the average and $115 for the median. Now that's not bad. Again, 45 to 54, so your house is probably partway paid. Your kids are, depending on if you had them and when you had them, might be just about to leave or out of the house. So that's another major expense and a very expensive conversation piece. But anyway, 55 to 64, you should reach $537,560 as an average, and the median is at $185,000 in savings. Not bad, but you can see it kind of flatten out a little bit. And then 65 to 74, you have $609,000 and $200,000 as a median. So just a quick way to figure out, am I behind schedule on my savings? Am I ahead of schedule when compared to my cohort, my peers? Is a interesting way to look at it. Next up, though, is with the net worth. So savings are one thing, but net worth is a whole other. You calculate it by adding up all of your assets, your house, your cars, whatever you may own that is worth money, and then you subtract whatever debt. So how much you owe on the house, how much you owe on the cars, credit cards, your line of credit, whatever, and then you get a final number. So the under 35s, interestingly enough, they still have a net worth of $183,500. I thought this was going to be much, much lower, given the propensity for younger 20-year-olds to not have assets and have debt, both in credit card or student loan forms or whatever. And the median is $39,000, which is interesting because it's roughly double what the savings were. So it's an interesting yardstick for net worth versus savings. Now, 35 to 44, you have a net worth of just over $500,000, $549,000. The median being $134,600. I know there's a lot of numbers, but it's an interesting jump from 183 to 549 here in net worth, considering the numbers tripled earlier on savings, and they're doing roughly the same here, not quite the same, but very close. From 45 to 54, you should be approaching the million in net worth. So roughly 975,000. and the median is just at the $247,000, 247,000. Again, these are just yardstick measurements of the average for the age group. Not saying you're in a race with anybody, but you can measure yourself and see if you're falling behind or ahead of the curve. And at certain intervals in life, this will impact your credit score, which I'm going to talk about at the end, which then allows you to have either better rates, better opportunities, higher margins. So when you're looking at housing or whatever business opportunity, you're in a better position than potentially your competitor or somebody else bidding on a house. 55 to 64, at this point, you're pretty much peaking in your financial life. Your kids are gone, your house is probably paid off or very close to it. So during that last 10 years, you've accumulated 1.5 million as a net worth. Your debt should be almost non-existent. The average, that's the average. The median is 364,500. So you can kind of see the trend of 3 times or 4 times, and it gets a little bit more aggressive as we go up, but 3 or 4 times the median becomes the average or so. And then 65 to 74 is at 1.7, so you can see it tapers off. It doesn't go up much anymore because most of them are retiring, their income streams are drying up, and that's okay because they're living off of whatever investments and savings they had. 409 in this case would be the median, and then at 75 plus, you start to go down because they're liquidating assets, getting rid of stuff. Obviously, kids are old enough, downsizing in houses, and because they don't have a revenue, they're probably living off their savings. So you can see the net worth going down to 1.6 million for average and 335 for the median net worth. So fairly interesting numbers here. On their own, doesn't really matter. Depending on where you live, if you're in a major metropolitan area, you're going to want it to be slightly higher. If you're, living like myself out in the woods, it doesn't necessarily matter as much. There's not that much elbow bumping for competition. And correlated with this is credit scores, which is interesting. I never understood. They gave me my first credit score. I think I was 18, maybe 17. It was for a credit card or something like that, and they told me it was like, I don't know, 580 or 590, I never understood the number. What out of 1,000? Like, is this a percentage? Where am I doing good? Where am I doing bad? And they didn't really tell me, or no, I don't think, at the bank. So for today's world, so the Gen Zs, 18 to 26, a good credit score would be about 680. In Canada, you can add a few points to that because our scale goes to 900 instead of 850, I believe. For the millennials, my peer group, we should be at 690 can be considered a healthy credit score for the age group. So that's 27 to 42 years old. The Gen Xers, 43 to 58 years old, should be above 700, hopefully around 710 for the most part as a good credit score. And then we have the boomers, 59 to 77 at this point. Most of them, or the bulk of them, have retired. There's still a few straddlers in the workforce. They should have a credit score of roughly 745 to be considered good. And then you have silent generation. My grandfather would be part of that, so it's 78 and above. And I mean, there could still be greatest generations, I guess, if they're close to or past 100. I'm not sure where that generation ended, but I don't have that statistic for their credit. I don't know that they have credit at that point. But the silent generation would be a credit score of 760 to be considered a good credit score. So I know a lot of younger people are abandoning the whole credit score thing. They think it's hopeless. Some of them are actively maxing out credit cards with the intention of never paying them back and just paying interest, which is pretty brutal. Saw a video on that recently. Anyway, I don't know what their plan is for life. But again, a bad credit score or a lower credit score than this is not necessarily a horrible thing. Few things that you can do about it. Get rid of your credit lines, your revolving credit, pay your credit cards in time, pay your utilities and stuff in time. Your credit score will naturally start going up. And as your income increases, as you age and invariably acquire expertise, your credit score should go up as well. So 3 interesting metrics that I thought maybe some younger people should know or should factor in that they typically don't. I certainly didn't, but I wish I did. We just went through. So thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.